Welcome to the RV Living Show. I'm Luann Street, and tonight we're going to be talking about Plan With Me. It's all about destination planning. You know, we've started this Plan With Me session every couple months so that we can dive into more of the strategic ideas and helpful hacks and tips for you to make the most of your travel planning. So be sure to stay with me tonight as we dive in all things destination planning. Welcome back, friends, to the RV Living Show. I'm so excited you're here with me tonight. As you know, every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, almost every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, I try to be here and give you some more great tips, hacks, and some inspiration for your RV life. So tonight is all about planning with me. So I, every month, take out my travel planner to make sure that I go over my travel plans for the month so that I can make sure that I've recorded them down correctly, that I've made the reservations that I need to reserve. But so many times it's about like the route planning and the actual place you're going, which of course is the destination, but I'm going to tease that apart a little bit tonight. So what I want you to do is in the comments, I want you to tell me what you focus more on. Do you focus more on how you're getting there, the route that you're taking, that planning that out, making sure that you have that all situated? Or do you plan out every day that you're going to be at a destination so that you can make the most of it? So let me know in the chat exactly what, or below in the comments, if you're watching this on YouTube or on my podcast, listening on my podcast, leave it in the comments. Let me know what you really focus on when you're doing your travel planning and which part seems easier for you, or maybe which part seems harder for you, because I really would like to know. All right, so let's talk about the destination planning. So you've spent all this time figuring out how you're going to get there, right? So you've picked this place that you're going. For me, last month was a trip into the Georgia mountains. I actually was going there to attend an RV rally. So that was kind of my intent of going on this trip, was to go to this RV rally. Now, getting there was important. Of course, we spend that time doing those things to make sure that our route is secure. We know how to get there. We're not going to take some crazy route that our RVs won't fit on, or, go on under any bridges that we won't fit under, or going over any bridges that we weigh too much for, depending on your RV. There are those things that you have to be aware of. But so if we're talking about this, why are you going to this destination that you've picked out? There's a reason. You've decided that it's either a beautiful place to go, you've never been there before, it's on your bucket list, maybe you're meeting up with friends and family, maybe you're going there to relax, right? What is your intent? For me, like I said, I was going for an RV rally. So, thinking about that, I was actually going to spend some time on either side of this RV rally in the beautiful Georgia mountains. So what was I going to do there? How was I going to spend my time? What was I going to experience while I was there? Well, for me, last month, I have actually been to one of the campgrounds that I stayed at. So I'm kind of going in reverse here with the planning, just to kind of talk about that whole destination piece. I had actually been there before and had written down some places and things that I wanted to do. Brian and I had been there in 2020 when COVID hit, and there were quite a few things that either weren't open or that I had wanted to do, and I had written them down in my handy travel planner. If you don't have a travel planner, whether it's mine or your notebook or however you do your travel planning, I highly recommend. This is very comprehensive, and you're going to be able to write down everything that you need to in this planner. So now you've established, why you're going there. You've kind of got this sense of that why. But then, maybe it was also maybe you're just stopping there, right? So you're not going to plan anything at that destination. But if you're going to be there a while, you want to do things. So in the chat too, I want to know, do you wait for getting there before you look around and see what you want to do there? Or do you plan ahead? I really want to know if that's the kind of travel planning style that you have. So how many of you plan before you go? Do you actually plan ahead? You actually take out your travel planner and you open it up to the weekly pages and you write down every day. This is a page in the future. So don't yell at me that it's not filled out. And actually write down what you're going to do every day. And I'm going to tell you that by doing this, by actually planning out your destination with what you want to do, can help you number one, help you plan enough time to do it. I mean, how many of us have gone somewhere and we're going to do all the things? We're going to go eat breakfast here. We're going to go to this place. We're going to eat lunch here. And you're trying to make the most of that destination, which you want to, but also you don't want to end up exhausted. So do you plan this out before you go, or do you wait till you get there? I would love to know that in the chat too. There's a lot of interaction in this one today. So here I am, I'm going to this RV rally, right? And so that rally was planned for me. The things that we were doing at that rally were planned for me. It was kind of a nice break from travel planning and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. But when I went farther and went to the campground where we had stayed before, then I started to need to dig out the things that I had written down before to do at this destination. It was 𝐤𝐴ZY, Georgia. Beautiful, beautiful place. Highly recommend it. There's a cute little, it's an adults only campground called Mountain View Campground on Swallows Creek Road. There's actually two Mountain Views up in Georgia, but this one's on Swallow Creek Road. Beautiful place, quiet, great internet. Anyway, highly recommend it. PJ and Louie are wonderful. So I'm going there. And so I want to pull out all the things that I wanted to do the last time that I was there. Now, in this particular travel planner, I do not have that part filled out because it's in the travel planner where I actually wrote down the ideas. But I want to show you the space that I have for that so that I can think about what I want to do when I get there. So in these great spaces in the back by state, you can actually write in these spaces. So if you are there and you maybe didn't plan ahead, but now you want to remember what you want to do when you go back, you can use these spaces for that. So I went to my other travel planner when I was making these plans so that I could fill in my days. What do I want to do? Do I want to go on that hike? Do I want to go tubing? Do I want to visit Helen? Maybe I want to play pickleball. I actually knew that there was a really great place to play pickleball. If you are a pickleballer and you seek out those kinds of things, then that's important to you. And so maybe you want to play pickleball or make time to play pickleball while you're there. So that's the perfect thing to do on your weekly pages, is to write down the things that you want to do and make sure that you have A, enough time to do them, or B, that you need to eliminate some things, because traveling is hard and exhausting sometimes. Sometimes you just need some downtime. I know I was with my family at the beach last week, and there was a rainy day, and my daughter was disappointed because she loves the beach and wanted to go again. But it was actually kind of nice to just kind of chill. Yes, it impacted one of our plans to go do something on that day, the dolphin tour that we wanted to see, but we still enjoyed our stay there. It was amazing to be together. We saw so many different things, but we actually had planned out our week. We had planned out our meals at the destination so that we knew what we were going to do. And it just makes things so much easier and simpler to have those things planned out. Then if you're a planner or you know that you're going to this destination and you want to do things while you're there, do you ever write them down? I'd love to know if you're a head planner or, like I said, an impromptu. And, trying to figure out some of those things, sometimes impromptu, may leave you disappointed if you can't get tickets to get on the ferry to go to 𝐸𝐹𝑢𝐾𝐈 Island, which I'm using an example of Hilton Head. The ferry fills up really quick. We happen to get tickets. There were people who were disappointed or couldn't go at the time they wanted, or they couldn't rent the bike because they didn't plan ahead and all the bikes were rented out. Especially with this being the 4th of July weekend this last weekend, you set yourself up for disappointment if you don't do some planning ahead. All right. So again, we talked about you don't want to schedule too much. You don't want to be exhausted when it's over. You want to have a good time. So let's talk about, where do you get your ideas for destinations? Not even just the actual destination, but to do that while you're there. If you are a full-timer, you may end up in some pretty out of the way place because you're traveling to somewhere else. And even if you're a part-timer, you may be on your way and going to spend 2 days in between so that you're not traveling day after day, and you want to explore the area you're in, but it's not some big thing like Washington, D.C. or Hilton Head Island or Gulf Shores, Alabama, but it's some obscure little place that still has a lot of great things and potential if you learn to dig for it. So where do you get your ideas from? Do you have a way of seeking out things that you could do or maybe not want to miss? How many times have you been at a destination and realized on the day that you're leaving that there was something right there that was really cool that you would have really enjoyed seeing, but now you can't do that? Well, if that ever does happen to me because either I didn't know about it or didn't have time to do it, that's when I use these great state pages so that I can come back to them. There's also a whole section on Canada, and then I can have that written down and I go look at it before I end up back there again. So I want to tell you tonight about a membership that I have for RVers that can help you get ideas. So many times when we're planning our RV travels, we're starting from scratch, and you don't have to. You could start with ideas that are already vetted by other RVers, and that's what your next RV destination membership is all about. The membership is open right now. You can save $5 a month if you enroll. And we are a group of RVers that meet together twice a month on Zoom, and we share destination ideas. We share the cool restaurants, the unique finds, the awesome road trips, the great campgrounds, the hidden gems, the off the beaten path things that you may not necessarily know or have the energy to go figure out. So this is a shortcut to some of your travel fatigue that you can have when you're traveling and you want to figure out really cool places to go and see. The beauty about the membership is that all the Zoom calls are recorded and put into a searchable database. So if you were to come into the membership now and you were going to Michigan, you could type in Michigan and it would pop up on every different video where the word Michigan was mentioned, and you can listen to just that part of the video without having to watch all of them, and you'll be able to record your destination ideas as well as all the PDFs and travel planning resources that are provided only in this membership. So if you'd like to join us, we would love to have you come in. Your next RV destination is open for enrollment right now, and you can save $5. So if you have any questions, you can hit me up in the chat and let me know. But this whole destination thing is very, it can be hit or miss. And sometimes you really want to do some things while you're there, and sometimes you get tired of figuring it out. So I just wanted to encourage you that writing it down, having space to do that, and whatever your travel planning method is, and just the other thing is recording those ideas from people around the campfire, which is what your next RV destination is. Even though we're not around a real campfire, it's like being around a campfire, just getting advice from other RVers. So we hope you join us. All right. Well, next week, we are going to talk about 3 things that we wish we knew before we started RVing. This was a topic that Brian and I put together, and this is something that, hindsight's 2020. So there's a lot of things that I know now that I didn't know then, but I wish I had before I started RVing. So I hope you join me next week on the RV Living Show. And it's next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But I'm going to dive into the comments now, and we're going to talk about destination planning. Maybe, I hope you guys have answered some of my questions. So Charmaine says, for car trips I have taken, I usually figure out how I'm getting to my destination. Yeah, it really is. That's the focus, is how you're going to get there. And you hope that when you get to your destination, you're going to, be able to fill in the blanks. But then sometimes you can get a little disappointed with that, not having everything available. I know I want to go to the St. Louis Arch. Well, you have to plan ahead, and you have to plan ahead way before you get there so that you can have tickets to actually go up in the Arch. So those are just things to think about as you're planning your destinations. Cindy says, I plan ahead day by day. So yes, so that's great. So you're at least looking one day ahead. You're kind of looking and seeing what you're going to do the next day. And that way you at least have a somewhat of a structure as you go into the day, so that you're not wasting time having to look and figure that out. So very good. All right. Terry says, I usually plan ahead because I go to places to see and do, plus some relaxing time. I write down the info about what I want to do, see, tour, hours, ticket prices, days open. Excellent. That is great. So I bet you have a really good time when you're there, because you're doing that ahead of time, so you can actually be in the moment and enjoy where you are. That's awesome. And Cindy says that she uses Fodor's travel guide and travel magazines. Awesome. Yes, those are handy. They really are handy. Sometimes those are the more touristy things, but a lot of times there's some great hidden gems in there too. And Daniel says, Pat and I usually camp more than travel. The only trip we took was to Tucson, and we followed 2 other cars. Okay, so, but then your intent is to go there and relax and camp, not necessarily see your destinations. And I think that's why it's really important too, to figure out your travel style. It's really about that. How do you like to travel? What do you want to include in your travel? And then have that focus on doing those things while you're there. Because if you like to golf, you want to golf when you go to destinations and experience all these cool golf courses. Kind of like I like these bike trails. I did the e-bike show last week, all about e-bikes. So when I go to a destination, I look to see, is there going to be a great bike trail? So I can schedule that in, and that I don't miss that. Or if I have to change the bike trail, and or other things that you want to do. The whole thing about the beach, that day we couldn't go to the beach. We had to maybe do some other things. There was another day that was cloudy, and we took the bus into Bluffton, the shuttle into Bluffton, and did a walking around and kind of dodged a few little raindrops, but it wasn't terrible. But, being flexible and being able to move your things around can also help. If you've planned ahead, you can move things from day to day. Anyway, I appreciate you all joining me tonight. And this destination planning can be exciting and fatiguing. I get excited about going places, and then I get really tired trying to figure it out. Because honestly, I actually operate in FOMO. Brian used to laugh at me all the time. You have FOMO. It's okay. We can come back here. And that's why I started writing down the things that we didn't get to do, because it made me feel better about missing those things. But a lot of times when we're traveling to these places, we're traveling for, in my head, I'm like, okay, we're going there and we're not coming back. And then it's really interesting in our full-time life, how many times we did kind of go back occasionally to the same places, so that we could do more things and enjoy more opportunities. So Anyway, thanks again for joining me tonight. I hope you all have a blessed week, and we'll see you next week for the 3 things that we wish we knew before we started RVing. I hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me for the RV Living Show. I hope this episode helps you in creating an RV life that you love. Until next time, I encourage you to stop wondering and start wandering.